Thanks. Did I assume that I probably needed to give my comment in English? Or you guys prefer in Mandarin? It's okay. Okay, I'll try to get it in English first, okay? See how's going. Generally, that is this is for language training purpose. That's the reason why that each thing probably you haven't got 20 minutes. But in the reality, you cannot possibly have 20 minutes. You probably only have 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So within 3 minutes, you need to have the message across. Pretty much that basically is that do the convincing talking, persuasive. Okay, you need to convince the audience. The product that is your marketing. So of course, the first thing that you need to know is who that you're addressed to, you're talking to. Okay, so when you talk, I see a lot of SWOT analysis here, and you don't do SWOT analysis to the customer, to the end customers. Okay, because your purpose is to convincing the customer to buy your product, and certainly you cannot talk about your weakness. Okay, you do not talk about the threat, to your company. Okay, so pretty much that is you have to keep that in mind. That's okay, because today's occasion is for language training purpose. So it's all right, it's not a problem. Pretty much that you guys here do the sales talking. It's, sometimes we mention, sales talk is kind of like a clarinet name, sales talk. But the way to do the sales talk, of course, the main purpose is for convincing, but sales talk sometimes, it's kind of like sometimes, I would just say sometimes, it's up to, vary from person to person. Sometimes you bluff, you bluff in a little bit, okay? So when you bluff, you should smile. You understand? You have to look like you believed what you were saying, okay? Your confidence, you should talk with more confidence. You should talk, make the people feel that you can control the situation. You know what you're talking about. That's important, okay? Because some of you probably do not have enough practice, and feel a little bit nervous. So when you feel nervous on the stage, and the people who listen to you, they feel nervous too. Do you understand? You look happy, people feel happy. You look nervous, people feel nervous. You look angry, and people feel irritated, and they will, got angry back to you too. Okay, so just watch that. So need confidence, and always know that whom your audience is. When you talk, you address to the end customers, or talk to the insider of firms. When you use SWOT analysis, pretty much you talk to the insiders. For example, like shareholders. For example, like directors, your boss, managers. Okay, that's the reason why that's the situation that you use SWOT analysis. The first thing that watch that when you claim that the equipment have the medical treatment, and that's basically by the law. So when you do that, you have to watch if you by the law or not. You see what I'm saying? So like the people like me do not have that much hair. I might, after your read your advertisement, I got so interested in your product and I bought it, and at 3 months it doesn't work at all. So I might sue you. You got yourself into trouble. You understand what I'm saying here? So that is a violation. You have to watch the legal problem. Okay. So how to avoid, how to try to get around that? Probably you can say that, hey, that's a benefit that could benefit your health scheme, okay? That help the growth over here. But do not claim. I guarantee you, you have a bald head now, your hair will grow. That's not possible. Okay, there's no such thing in this world. Cannot possibly. That cannot possibly carry the effect. So you have to watch that. And also, that another quite important thing is NT dollars, not dollars. When you use the term dollars, that you always mean US dollars. Okay? So you, for example, like 12,000 NT dollars, not $12,000. That's awfully lot of money. Okay? How to overcome the nervousness? Of course, by practice. Just keep on practicing that before you come on the stage. Okay, So see, again, let me repeat that. When you use SWOT analysis, be sure that's directed to the insiders. Okay? That's the reason why you have a budget. You know, you don't show the budget to the customer. Correct? Okay. And also that's a team that basically that you talk about someone that they use the term babysitting you. It's not a very good term, okay? So when you talk about this, you know, we can babysitting you, it's a, if I remember correctly, you talked about travel agency, right? Yeah, travel agency. Babysitting, the age, you know, that range from age like 15 to 65 or something. You know, so pretty much you want to babysitting everyone. And I certainly don't like to hear that term because I'm not a baby. You know, and you're not a babysitter. You understand what I'm saying? You offer my service, but that doesn't mean that you need to babysit me. It's quite a negative term. Okay? Just watch the term that you're using. Okay. The A1 team, A1, stakes awesome. Okay, the first person that's Ruby, right? Ruby? Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. You know, sounds like that you're a host of the radio show. I assume that you probably listen to the radio quite often. Yeah, which is pretty good. That you know, you relate yourself to the audience in such a easy way. You know what I'm saying? Which is good because again, let me repeat myself. If you look nervous, and audience will feel nervous. You understand? So when you relax, you talk in a more relaxed tone, and that can give the comfort, you know, to a listener, to the audience. B2, team B2, it's quite nice film. You know, visual screen, and just create imagination, you know, for the viewers. I guess you guys probably still remember, right? The visual screen, the person, you know, the visual screen from the watch, right? So that's pretty good. That's create expectation of the customers to the future. Okay, so that's pretty good. I like it. Okay. A3, the drama, the comedy style. Yeah, fun to watch, I have to say. You know, when you get on stage and you keep on talking, usually people not easy to remember what to talk about. So when you think back, we have 8 teams make their presentation already. Some teams you probably can remember now, but some teams you already forget what their message is. And especially who play those films. The films, and sometimes, you know, so I would say that there's some film that can so distinguishingly, you know, make them so different from other film, from other presentation. Okay, so that's important, you know, to give the film is just like to tell the story that can impress the audience at the very beginning. If you just take on talking, and marketing your product generally that's not that welcomed by the audience. So I would say that's a pretty good start if you can make a good film at the very beginning to sell your company. And also that is the last one that I remember that is make their introduction of their firms. It's important. You know, if you ever take the course business negotiating, you need to learn how to make an introduction of your firm. That's from the histories and the science, you know, and the planning of your company. That's quite important. Okay, make an introduction of your company. You know, more than just talk about your products and also your company. So let us know, you know, who you presented. Okay. A3 also makes something quite impressive. That's talk about that you need to make donation to the charity. That's something lots of commercial companies they do. Okay, just to give the money to the charity. That's good for the public image of that company. Okay, I think that's pretty much. Okay, And also that I need to remind you guys that it just seems that it's already become a ritual. That at the end, all team members, they do certain kind of movements, right? Some kind of gestures, slogans. I feel that's kind of a little bit fun, you know. Unless, I remember that the last thing, that's kind of like a comedy. You see what I'm saying? So when you have the gestures or slogans in it, it's not that awkward. But when you make a quite serious marketing of your product, and by the end you give the gesture or slogan, that's kind of like I would say that is awkward, a little bit awkward. Okay, that's for your suggestion. The last one that is really creative. You know, I would say probably on the brink of law breaking, but it's people already engaged in the business, in fact. So I would say that you might offer some quite creative ideas to those people already in the business. Okay. Okay, that's pretty much my suggestions to you. Hopefully that can be helpful. Thank you very much.
My name is Vivian. First of all, I would like to say I really enjoy your presentations and I learned a lot as well. Actually, in fact, I think you all did a very good job. However, I'll give you some feedback for improvements in the future. And my feedback will cover 3 categories. First, I'm going to talk about your visual message. And then I'm going to move on to your physical message and finally your story message. First, that will be your visual message. Same with Dr. Zheng. A lot of you incorporate videos and dramas into your presentations, but you have to think about the appropriateness and purpose for your dramas and the videos. Is it for an icebreaker or is it for evidences for your main points? You need to think about it. And next, that will be your physical message. So my suggestion will be you can incorporate some gestures when you are giving the presentation. For example, instead of using laser pointer to show us your keywords, you can use your fingers to point out the keywords on the screen. And that's the purpose for showing gestures is going to make your presentation more interesting because most of your presentation are really long. So that will be more interesting and more interactive. And the next thing for your physical message, that will be your eye contact. So you need to look at your audiences to show your confidence, to believe that what you are talking about is true. And also, you are going to look at different people in the whole classroom, not to focus on a particular people like judges or some of your good friends, and that's it. And finally, I'm going to talk about your story message. I'm very happy that you all follow the basic structures of a presentation. You divided your presentation into 3 parts. First, you give a brief introduction, and second, you move on to your body to give us more details and more evidences for each main point. But when you are giving us your evidences, you need to think about is your evidence supports your main points. For example, like one of the group, the travel agents talk about a traveling plane, and you are showing us different tourist spots for your traveling planes. But when you talk about the pagodas in Hangzhou, you cannot just show us a picture. So this is a picture of the pagoda, but I really want to know how much should I pay if I get into the pagoda? Or what can I see? You cannot say you can see very beautiful scenery, but I would like to know what kind of views I can see on the pagoda. So you need to search more information so that you can write down the effective evidences for each main point. And the last part, that will be your conclusion. I think most of you should put more effort on your conclusion, because conclusion, that will be the last chance for you to persuade your audiences to believe you what you are talking about is true. So first, you are going to repeat your main points to give us a quickly review of what you are talking about. Then, for each main point, you are going to have a focus point. The focus point, that will be the most important information you want your audiences to remember for each main point. That can be only a phrase, a sentence, or only a keyword. So you should put more efforts on your conclusion. But actually, I think I really enjoy your presentation. You all did a good job. Thank you very much.